Welcome to Learn English Easy.
I actually spent the weekend trying to analyze the narrative arc of a cumulus cloud formation.
You did not.
I did. It was surprisingly anticlimactic.
See, this is exactly why we work together. You look at a cloud and you see a narrative failure. I look at a cloud and I see a bunny.
Well, there's that.
But honestly, looking at the date, it's Saturday, January 17, 2026. I think we both wish we were just staring at clouds. Because the stack we have today,
Right.
it's essentially a collision course.
Collision is absolutely the right word. Usually we try to find a nice, neat theme, Yeah.
A through line.
Exactly. But today, the theme is, I guess, chaos.
Oh.
But more specifically, it's about the collision between the performances we all see online and the very hard, very unyielding wall of reality.
Okay, I like this. So we're talking about a pop culture meltdown that has people accusing a beloved TV show of being written by, well, a robot.
Then we have a comedian literally hanging from a ceiling wire to expose church corruption.
And a prankster finding out that internet fame is not a valid passport at all.
And to top it all off, a massive financial scam that is using AI to eat people's savings.
It's a heavy mix.
It is.
Yeah.
But that through line you mentioned, it's undeniable. The gloss is coming off.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's a script, a sermon, a prank, or a debt relief ad, people are starting to see the wires.
And in some cases, the wires are strangling the creators.
Exactly.
So let's start with the story that is just absolutely dominating the cultural conversation right now. I mean, if you have opened any social media app in the last 5 days, you know what I'm talking about.
You can't miss it. Stranger Things, Season 5, the grand finale, the end of an era.
Or, as the internet has pretty much dubbed it, the ChatGPT calamity.
It is brutal out there.
Yeah.
So just to set the stage for everyone, the final season dropped, and the reaction was, well, let's call it violently mixed.
Violently is the word for it.
But the real explosion, that happened on January 12th. Netflix released this documentary, Stranger Things, One Last Adventure. It was supposed to be their victory lap, right? A pat on the back for the Duffer Brothers.
That was the plan, show the fans the magic behind the curtain.
Right.
The problem is, when you pull back the curtain, you better make sure the wizard isn't checking his email on an AI bot.
Exactly. So here is the smoking gun, as they're calling it.
Yeah.
There's this one shot in the documentary. It's just B-roll footage of the writer's room.
Mm-hmm.
And the frame-by-frame forensics team on Reddit went to work immediately. They zoomed in on a computer screen that belonged to someone on the production team. And what did they find?
Not a Word document.
Not a Word document, not a storyboard.
Multiple tabs open, all of them ChatGPT.
And the internet just melted down. The accusation shifted, like instantly from this writing is bad to this writing is fake.
Which is a huge difference.
It's a huge difference. You have reviews tanking. I checked IMDb this morning. The finale is getting review bombed with 1-star ratings.
No, I saw that.
And it's a global thing, too. We're seeing a massive influx of these negative reviews, specifically from Saudi Arabia and South Asia, which just speaks to how universal this disappointment is.
People are comparing it to the Game of Thrones ending.
Which is the ultimate cultural insult. You don't come back from that.
No. But I think we need to look past the gotcha moment of the ChatGPT tabs.
Okay.
The reason that image went so viral isn't just because people hate AI. It's because it confirmed a suspicion that fans already had.
That the season felt soulless.
Exactly. The AI accusation just gave them a tangible target for that feeling.
That makes sense. And it brings us to this absolutely wild theory that's popped up called conformity gate. Have you gone down this rabbit hole yet?
Yeah.
Because it is. It's fascinating and kind of sad.
It's deeply psychological is what it is. So conformity gate is this fan theory that just appeared like days ago. Fans are so heartbroken by the quality of the ending that they can't accept it as the true ending.
Okay.
They have convinced themselves that the Duffer Brothers made a bad season on purpose.
Hey, hold on. Walk me through that.
Yeah.
They think the showrunners torched their own legacy as a bit.
Essentially, yes. The theory is that this bad ending is an illusion, a kind of fake out, inspired by the concept of conformity, fitting in, doing the Hollywood thing, delivering the expected blockbuster beats, but making it hollow.
So they think there's a real ending hidden somewhere.
That's the idea. Or that this was all some kind of meta-commentary on the industry.
That sounds like, it sounds like pure denial.
That is exactly what it is. It's the bargaining stage of grief, right?
Okay.
I mean, think about it. You've spent maybe 9 years loving these characters. You grew up with Eleven, Mike, and Dustin. The idea that the creators just failed, that they ran out of gas.
That's too painful.
It's too painful to process. So your brain invents a conspiracy. It must be 4D chess. They can't just be bad writers now. They must be geniuses playing a trick on us.
It reminds me of the Sherlock fandom years ago. They were convinced a secret final episode existed.
It's a classic coping mechanism.
But let's strip away the conspiracy for a second and look at the actual criticism. Because even if AI wasn't involved at all, the show changed. We found this incredible analysis on Reddit from a literature grad student that just breaks down the fatal flaw of the season.
Oh, this analysis was the highlight of my research for this stack. Seriously. The argument is that the show suffered from a catastrophic genre shift.
A genre shift.
Yeah. Look back at season 1. What was it? It was a Spielberg-esque coming-of-age drama.
Totally. It was small.
It was small. It was intimate. It was about bullying, absentee parents, first crushes. The Demogorgon wasn't some alien invasion. It was a metaphor for the scary, unknown traumas of childhood.
It was kids on bikes. It was Stand By Me with a monster.
Precisely. But by season 5, and you can argue it started in season 3, the show just mutated. It became a Hollywood action horror blockbuster. The stakes went from save Will to save the world.
And when you make the stakes that high, you lose the intimacy.
You have to.
The Reddit user had this analogy that I can't stop thinking about. They said viewers don't want excessive exposition dumps or repetitive plot armor.
I love this part.
They said watching season 5 was like receiving chicken McNuggets from a Michelin star restaurant.
Ugh, that hits hard. It implies a betrayal of expectations.
It really does.
You sat down expecting this carefully crafted, character-driven meal, the Michelin experience. Instead, you got processed, mass-produced spectacle.
And it might taste okay in the moment. You know, explosions are cool, CGI is shiny.
But it lacks any nutritional value. It lacks the human element that made you fall in love with it in the first place.
And I think that's where the whole AI accusation really sticks. Because even if they didn't write the script with ChatGPT, the show felt algorithmic.
That's the perfect word for it.
It felt like they plugged 80s nostalgia and action set piece into some kind of formula and just hit generate.
And you can't overlook the age factor either. The source pointed this out. You can't tell a kids on bikes story when the characters are, and I'm quoting here, adults paying taxes.
Right.
The actors are in their 20s. The innocence is gone. So you have this tension. The show wants to rely on that 80s nostalgia, but the reality of the production is modern, slick, and, well, adult.
Yeah.
It's a dissonance the audience just couldn't reconcile.
It's the spectacle creep. You have to keep making it bigger, but bigger isn't always better.
Bigger is often just louder.
And emptier.
And emptier. Which is actually a perfect segue. We're talking about empty spectacles and the betrayal of an audience. So let's pivot from the fictional upside down to a very real stage where the performance is getting called out in a big way.
Oh man, this story. We have to talk about Drewski.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Drewski is a massive comedian, an influencer. On January 13, 2026, he dropped this skit. It was called Mega Church Pastors Love Money.
And calling it a skit feels like an understatement. This was a short film.
It really was. The production value was higher than some network TV shows.
For sure.
I mean, he's descending from the ceiling on wires, looking like a superhero.
Yeah.
He's decked out in the Christian Dior suit, red-bottom Christian Louboutin shoes. Is the definition of excess.
And the dialogue?
Oh, the dialogue. He says, I impregnated a congregant with the word of God.
Yeah.
And then, this is the kicker, he locks the church doors and demands $4 million for some vague mission in Zimbabwe before anyone is allowed to leave.
It is visceral, it's uncomfortable, and it went viral instantly, like 43 million views in a day.
And naturally, it started a war in the comments section.
Of course it did.
Right. You have one side saying, this is blasphemy. You are mocking God. You are mocking the black church. The critique is basically, you know, why are you punching down at a sacred institution? It ain't like he's spitting y'all face.
But then you have the other side, and it includes some heavy hitters in the Christian community. Lecrae, the Grammy-winning Christian hip-hop artist, he stepped in to defend it.
And what did he say?
His defense was fascinating. He said his reaction was, and I'm quoting, not offense, but recognition.
Recognition. Wow, that is a powerful word there.
It is. Lecrae is arguing that Drewski isn't mocking God. He is mocking the wolves in the pulpit. He is holding up a mirror to the charlatans who use faith as a hustle.
And let's be honest, the reality is often stranger than the satire.
Oh, absolutely. Lecrae mentioned Bishop Lamore Whitehead. Do you remember the flying pastor, Bartholomew Orr?
I do. He literally flew into the sermon on a harness.
Exactly. So when Drewski comes down on a wire, he isn't inventing a scenario out of thin air. He is referencing something that actually happened. He's taking reality and just turning the volume up enough to expose how absurd it all is.
You mentioned before the show that there is actually a framework for this, a way to understand why some people laugh and some people get mad.
Yes, and I promise not to turn this into a lecture hall, but it is super helpful here. It's a model of satire from a linguist named Paul Simpson.
Okay.
Simpson argues that satire is a discourse, specifically a triad, a triangle.
Okay. Lay out the triangle for me.
Okay, so point one is the satirist. That's Drewski. Point two is the satirized, the corrupt pastors.
Right.
But point three is the most critical. The satiree, that's the audience. That's you. That's us.
So the audience is part of the mechanism. We're not just watching.
The audience is the test subject. Simpson's argument is that the satirist acts as a jocular teacher. Drewski is using humor to test your moral compass.
How so?
If you laugh, it means you recognize the corruption. You get it. You are in on the lesson. If you get offended, or if you think he's mocking God, you might be missing the distinction between the faith and the hustle.
So by laughing at the $4 million Zimbabwe scam in the skit, Drewski is basically training us to spot that scam in real life.
Exactly. It functions as a social corrective. It's designed to shame the bad actors and, more importantly, educate the potential victims. And the data shows this kind of education is working.
What do you mean?
Well, Pastor Tripoli noted this recently. Young people are fleeing these massive, spectacle-driven mega-churches. They're moving toward Orthodox churches, small parishes, community-focused groups, places with substance.
Yeah, we're looking for the Michelin star meal again. They're tired of the McChurch.
They want authenticity. When you see a guy in red-bottom shoes demanding millions of dollars, the performance just falls apart. You realize it's just a show, and once you see the wires, you can't unsee them.
Speaking of seeing the wires,
Yeah.
let's talk about someone whose wires just got cut. We need to talk about Vitaly Zdorowetsky.
The prankster king, or former king.
Yeah, former king is right. If you've been on the internet since like 2012, you know this guy. He built an entire career on, it's just a prank, bro.
Shrieking at the Super Bowl.
Streaking, climbing pyramids, harassing people in public for views. He operates under this assumption that internet laws somehow supersede real laws.
Internet immunity. It's this belief that if you have a camera in your hand, you're just an observer of reality, not a participant.
Right.
You can disrupt, annoy, and harass, and your subscriber count is supposed to protect you.
Well, that immunity just expired. Vitaly was in the Philippines, in BGC, that's Bonifacio Global City, doing his usual shtick, harassing people, being a nuisance.
And the Philippine authorities did not laugh.
Not at all. They arrested him, he served jail time, and now the news is that he is set to be deported.
And this is where the story shifts from, influencer drama to a full-on geopolitical thriller.
Because he's being deported to Russia.
And we have to remind everyone of the date. It's January 2026. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine is still very much ongoing. It is active.
Exactly. The online chatter, we saw this on Reddit, it's dark. People are asking, wait, he has a U.S. green card. Why isn't he just going back to Los Angeles?
Yeah, that's the obvious question. Why isn't he?
A green card is not a golden ticket. It's a conditional residency permit.
And there are rules.
There are a lot of rules.
Yeah.
If you're outside the U.S. for more than 180 days, or if you commit certain crimes, crimes involving moral turpitude and harassment can definitely fall under that umbrella, depending on the severity.
Then you're in trouble.
Right. You're treated as an applicant for admission when you try to re-enter. Customs and Border Protection can just look at his record and say, nope, you're not coming in.
So the Philippines is kicking him out. The U.S. might not let him in.
Which leaves his country of citizenship, Russia.
And Russia has a draft. Russia has conscription. The comments online are brutal, people joking about him meeting a friendly Ukrainian drone.
Yeah, I saw those.
But jokes aside, think about the psychological whiplash here. You go from being a guy who mocks authority for likes to being a guy on a deportation list to a country at war.
It's the ultimate collision of main character syndrome and state power.
That's it, exactly.
Vitaly thought he was the protagonist of the world.
Mm-hmm.
The Philippine legal system reminded him he's just a visitor.
And the Russian military draft.
Well, that's a system that does not care how many followers you have on YouTube.
Not one bit. It strips away the performance entirely. You can edit a YouTube video to make yourself look like the hero. You can't edit a deportation order. It's a sobering reminder that the cloud isn't real, but borders and laws very much are.
And speaking of clouds that aren't real, we have to talk about the cloud that is coming for your wallet. Because if you thought Stranger Things using AI was annoying, wait until you hear how scammers are using it.
This is the story that kept me up at night. We're doing a deep dive into an investigation by CoffeeZilla, the YouTube investigator who exposes financial fraud.
Yeah, he's great.
He just dropped a video titled, Exposing a $10 million Debt Industry.
$10 billion. Just let that number sink in. That is the size of the industry targeting people who are already drowning in debt.
It is predatory on an industrial scale.
So here's the setup. Because it's so insidious, you're scrolling through your feed, maybe you're a veteran, maybe you're a senior citizen living on a fixed income. You see an ad promising debt elimination.
And they use these friendly terms like the debt backpack method.
Right. It sounds so mannerful, right? Just put your debt in a backpack and hike away.
And the ads, they look legitimate. They often feature celebrities endorsing the program, or they appear to feature celebrities.
This is where the AI comes in. This is the terrifying part. These aren't just, cameo videos. These are deepfakes. They are cloning the voices and faces of famous people to endorse these scams.
And it gets worse.
CoffeeZilla even found deepfakes of himself, a guy whose entire brand is "Don't Get Scammed," being used to endorse the scam.
That's the level of meta horror we are dealing with. The technology is so good and so cheap now that they can wear anyone's face.
So let's unpack the mechanics of the scam, because I think a lot of people fall for this because they don't really understand what's happening behind the scenes.
It's a classic bait and switch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You click the ad,
Yeah.
you get on the phone, you think you are applying for a consolidation loan to pay off your credit cards.
Right. That's the bait. Get a loan. Lower your interest rate. It sounds great, but once they have you on the line, they pull the switch. They tell you, oh, I'm so sorry you don't qualify for the loan.
Oh, okay.
But good news, you qualify for our debt resolution program.
And what does that program actually require you to do? What's the resolution?
It requires you to stop paying your bills.
What?
They tell you to default on your credit cards. Instead of paying Visa, you pay a monthly fee to their debt company. They claim they put this money into an escrow account, and once there's enough cash in there, they'll negotiate with the bank to settle your debt for pennies on the dollar.
Okay, but if I just stop paying my credit card, the bank isn't just going to sit there and wait.
No, of course not. The bank is going to sue you. Debt collection lawsuits are the #1 civil case filed in state courts across America. These companies are literally advising you to walk into a legal buzzsaw.
And what happens to the money in that escrow account?
Well, this is the most insidious part. The debt settlement company often takes their service fee, which can be 20% or 25% of your total debt front-loaded from your monthly deposits.
Wait, what does front-loaded mean?
It means for the first 6 months or even the first year, you aren't saving money to pay off the bank. You're just paying the scammer's salary.
Oh my God.
Meanwhile, your credit score is completely nuked, you're getting sued by your creditors, and you have $0 saved to actually settle the lawsuit.
That's evil. It's trapping people who are already desperate.
And they actively steer you away from the one thing that might actually help: bankruptcy. CoffeeZilla makes the point that for many of these victims, filing for bankruptcy would be the safer, legal, government-protected route. But you can't make money off someone who files for Chapter 7, so they demonize bankruptcy and sell you this debt backpack lie instead.
So where is the cavalry? Is anyone stopping this? Is the government doing anything?
The Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, is trying, but they are completely outgunned. We looked at their congressional budget justification for fiscal year 2026. They are asking for $383.6 million just to keep the lights on.
And they have specific line items for this AI stuff, right?
They do. They're asking for $10 million specifically to enforce the Take It Down Act, which deals with non-consensual deepfakes.
Okay.
But more importantly, they're asking for $32 million for big data investments.
What does that actually mean? Are they buying better laptops?
No, it means cloud computing power and data analytics. Think about it. These scammers are using AI to generate thousands of ad variations. They change the age, race, and gender of the avatar to target specific demographics. They run these ads for a few hours, then delete them forever. To catch them, the FTC needs to ingest and analyze massive amounts of data in real time.
Maybe they can't do that now.
They explicitly state in the budget requests that their current on-premises systems, basically their servers in the basement, cannot handle the load.
So it's an arms race. The scammers have the latest AI tools to steal money, and the regulators are literally begging Congress for money to upgrade their servers so they can even see the crime happening.
That's exactly what it is. And the FTC is effective when they have resources. The report mentions they blocked a supermarket merger recently that saved consumers $1.9 billion. That's a huge win.
Wow.
But fighting a single merger is very different than fighting a million deepfake ads that are swarming the internet like locusts.
It really feels like we're living in a moment where the fake is just overwhelming the real.
That is the perfect summary of everything we've talked about today.
I mean, just look at the thread. In Stranger Things, the fans feel like the algorithmic performance of a show killed the reality of the characters they love.
Mm-hmm.
With Drewski, he had to use a fake performance, a skit, to expose the real theatrics happening in the church.
And Vitaly lived in a fake world of it's just a prank until the very real world of borders and war came crashing in.
And now scammers are using fake faces to cause real financial ruin. It's a lot.
It's the blurring of the line between a glitch and a crime. We are so used to seeing performances on Netflix, on TikTok, on YouTube, that I think we are losing the ability to judge what's authentic. And bad actors are exploiting that confusion for all it's worth.
It's terrifying. Because if you can't trust your own eyes, if you can't trust that the celebrity in that ad is real, or that the script for your favorite show was written by a human, how do you navigate the world?
That is the question of the decade. And it raises this massive issue of responsibility, right? If algorithms can generate this much chaos, who cleans it up?
Is it the platform hosting the video?
Yeah.
Is it the government?
Or is it us? Is it the viewer? Because every time we click on the spectacle, whether it's hate watching the Stranger Things finale or clicking on that debt backpack ad out of curiosity, we are feeding the beast. We are telling the algorithm, more of this, please.
So we are the Satiri in Drewski's triangle. We're being tested.
We are being tested every single day. And right now, I'm not sure we are passing the grade. We need to sharpen our critical thinking. We need to learn to spot the wires. Because if we don't, we are just going to keep getting pulled up to the ceiling or dragged down into debt.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to need a minute to process that. Maybe I will go stare at a cloud.
Just don't try to find a narrative arc in it. Just let it be a cloud.
Deal. Thank you, everyone, for diving deep with us today. This was a heavy one, but I think an important one. Keep your eyes open, question what you see on the screen, and maybe double-check that the person offering you financial advice isn't a deepfake.
Always good advice.
See you in the next Deep Dive.